Okay, everybody, thank you all for being here again. I have your bio. Oh, yeah, right. Yes. Yo, we have a thing.
No one's ever been so excited about a bio.
This is so good. Okay, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Wasn't Stacey amazing? That was so wonderful.
Incredible.
And I'm so happy now to have Sam Valentine from One Broke Actress here. Yes. So Sam and I were connected a long time ago, have never met. We're pleasantly surprised that we are the approximate height we assumed.
Yes.
It's very nice when that happens.
Yes.
I didn't say, but that is what I did. I was.
You got this.
I was
that?
expecting. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So here's Sam's bio. Now I'm going to read it in the first person.
Okay.
I moved to LA with a theater degree and more conviction than I had dollars, and proceeded to spend the better part of a decade trying to be literally anything a breakdown wanted me to be. I created One Broke Actress because I saw a need for stories and advice of real working actors. A place you can figure out how to edit your actor's access, find an email template for dropping your reps, get real tips on what to do when you get a next day audition, and when you are face deep in your third El Compadre Flaming Margarita.
It's happened to all of us.
Am I the all-knowing being in Hollywood who has booked 1 billion jobs and made big bucks with acting, so therefore I know how to advise people and lead like Gandhi of Southern California? Negative. But I feel there is a lack of honest sharing from actors who are in the thick of it. This career path is crazy AF, but that doesn't mean you have to be. So let's get real and maybe learn a life lesson or two in the process. This is your bio. That's very good.
That's cool when you read it.
And so here's my bio for you.
Okay.
I would say that in an industry, and maybe even in an art form, where transparency is the thing we avoid the most, you are quite literally, well, literally is the wrong word, I suppose, figuratively, but you seem to be literally the wind and the sail of that knowing, and that you lead the way with that transparency. And anytime somebody leads with transparency, especially in an industry that is not built around that, I have to pay attention. And it's stunning to watch. And your consistency, your advice, your compassion, it seems to me, and I really don't know you except for I listen to you, it seems to me that your heart and your mind are so beautifully connected, and you share it so freely with all of us.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you a question, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. If acting was a person, how would you describe your relationship to it?
Like acting is acting, or acting is the career?
That's an interesting way to start.
Because those feel like two separate things to me.
Okay. So how would you describe each of those relationships?
Acting to me is the fun. Acting to me is like almost like an elementary school like relationship. Like you would like hold hands and like talk about how you'd hang out at recess, and like everything was just like lovely, and it was like the stakes were so low but they felt so high, and like acting is that. Like it should be fun but safe, but like genuine and like real and just happy, right? Even when it's not happy. Like I have an audition I have to do later tomorrow, and it's like it's so it's so heavy, but after I got done, I was like, I could do that. I could get there. And that to me is a cool thing, and that makes me happy.
Something joyful about it.
Yeah, joy. Yeah, it's joy. And joy doesn't always mean smiley. Like joy can be dark and deep and sad, but the career, like if I was watching my friend have a relationship with acting as a person, I would be like, you might need to break up. Like, because one of you is giving way more than the other.
Right.
It is not an equal relationship.
You feel about the industry part, the career part. Yeah.
I feel like I give so much, and I feel like if I looked at my resume, I'd be like, I don't know if you want to marry that. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it has to, I think it's such two different things. So I have to find the love and the joy and the fun, because the career doesn't necessarily give me what I need.
Can you find the joy in the career too?
Yeah. often, and I do find it, but I've found it in my own way. Because I really thought this was going to look like one thing. And it looks like something totally, totally different.
Right.
And that's the ride that we're all on.
Well, what's the way you found that joy in the career?
That's a great question. So it's active, right? So how am I finding it?
Yes, right.
I redefine it constantly, right? So like it's like finding the small victories of it, and having One Broke Actress helps me define it because I have a place to put it. Because if I called my parents and I was like, hey guys, guess what? I got a same audition this week as from the same casting director I got a couple weeks ago.
They'd be like,
they would be like, cool, did we get to see it?
Yeah,
like, is it like gonna be on
yeah,
TV?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, it's just the same person wanted to see me work twice. And they're like, of course they do, you're great. I'm like, we've totally missed the point of this conversation. but when I with One Broke Actress, I have a place where I can be like, guys, like the same casting director called me in twice, and actors are like, oh fuck yeah, like it's amazing.
Yes.
And so I'm like, yeah, it is. And so I think the community is where I find a lot of joy, whether it's from mine or an acting class or like other places. Like we help define each other, because I don't know if I would know all of the happy moments if there wasn't the sharing of them as much.
With the people who are in it collectively.
Yeah,
with you. That's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Because this career can become, if we're not careful, can become so self-focused.
Yeah.
So self-focused. I mean, there's nothing like a conversation with an actor and they're looking at you like, when's this coming back to me?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, you have some great books on listening on your shelf that they should
Well,
check out.
there we go.
That's a plug. You can use
That's
it
a plug. That's right. Books on listening, everybody. But that is so important. That I love that you're seeing the communal aspect to that industry part, and that One Broke Actress was a way for you into that. So you started One Broke Actress 8 years ago, right? Or 8 seasons?
Yeah. Oh God. 2016. I started One Broke Actress.
6 years ago, almost 7.
Yeah.
So tell me about the morning where you wake up and you're like, and One Broke Actress happens.
Yeah.
What's that?
I wish it was that instant. So I think I've told this story multiple times. But if you haven't heard it, I'm way funnier in person. So when I booked in 2016, I booked a movie that took me to France, and I was there for 8 weeks filming a feature. I was the lead. We lived in a castle. We shot there, and I know. And you're all like, yeah, and I was too. And I was like, let's go. And it was not magical. It was really hard. It was really hard to live in the same place with an almost entirely male crew and live with them and work with them and like make good work. And it was incredible, and the experience was amazing. And I thank all of the people involved in that movie, because we all just did our best to make that happen. But when I came home, everyone hears the beginning of that story and they think like, oh my God, that's amazing. You did it. You made it. Yeah. And I was like, interesting, because before this, I had a full-time job from working from home, which was like unheard of back then, as a customer service person. And I had 401k and I had health insurance, I had all these things. And I would just leave for auditions and come back. And I had so it felt set. And to go take that job, I had to lose my full-time job. And so I came home, and I had been the lead in a movie, and everyone's like, yeah, you got it, you're making it. But I was unemployed. And I had no idea when my next job was gonna come. And I was really sad. And I posted on Facebook, I'm looking for a part-time job. And my at the time manager messaged me and was like, you can't do that, take it down. We're selling you as a leading lady, which Facebook definitely tells you what year it was that
Right.
And I was like, well, how am I, I always get my jobs through word of mouth. Like someone refers me, I babysit, I cook, I whatever. And she was like, you have to find another way, because we can't tell the world that you're looking for part-time work. And I was like, oh, this does not sit well with me.
Yes.
I do not like this feeling. I was like, well, I'm just supposed to pretend like everything's great? And I was depressed. I filed for unemployment. I'd never done that. I had a lot of shame against it. And I I started writing. And I was like, I'm just going to put these thoughts in a blog because everyone at the time had a blog. Like every person had a blog in 2016. I was like, well, I shall have one too. And I was like, there's going to be an actor lifestyle blog somewhere. And I couldn't find one. I was like, well, I'll just start one and then never share it. And I'll do it anonymously. That didn't turn out. So that's what it existed as. And then I published it and I didn't tell anyone about it. And then I started sharing a couple of the articles I was writing slowly over time. But finally sharing it with people publicly, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's very scary because I was like, hey, I'm writing and claiming my space as an actor. Hey, I'm a working actor and here's the problems I'm having. Even though I had just joined the union like a month ago, I barely had credits. I had never been on a big TV set. I had never, like, so many things I thought I was supposed to do before I claimed myself as an actor. I hadn't done them. And so to take up that space was very, very scary. Right. Very scary.
The space of I'm an actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And at the time I had a podcast with a friend and I thought, well, I also want to have an actor podcast. Like I want to talk to more people. And so I started the One Broke Actress podcast. And that ended up, I mean, I wish that I could say like, and then it was so successsucll and here we are now. Just like talking about it. Like no one listened. So I was like, well, I guess I could just keep doing this because it doesn't matter. Yeah. So like, I'll just keep doing it because I like doing it. And then I kept doing it, but then people started to listen. Yeah. I was like, oh shit. Well, now I have to care about this thing. That's scary. And so it existed as its own side piece of my life until the pandemic hit.
And then it became the main
because
piece?
I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I had like 5 jobs before the pandemic. I'd run from one job to the next, and like maybe take my dogs out, maybe eat food, and like run home, and then go to bed and do it all again the next day. Let alone act in all of that. And so when the pandemic hit, all of a sudden everyone was on equal playing field, and we were all doing the same things, which was not a lot, except for all the emergency workers and everyone whose job was incredibly stressful. And so I was like, well, nobody else is on set, and I'm not on set. So for the first time, I'm not driving around to Los Angeles feeling like I'm the only person not working. Yeah. So I was like, oh, people, let's talk about that. And so I started to take up more space, and in that 2 years, it's my job now, which is cool.
Yeah. And it's had a huge influence on so many people. You just did a podcast, or I don't know exactly when it was, but it was one that you were doing by yourself, and you were talking about this convergence of your life, having just been married, and that you had not seen that coming. There was a point in your life when you had not envisioned this stuff going on.
Yeah, I didn't vision a dream past like age 25. I was like, well, I'm going to be a movie star, I'm going to come out in the magazines, and then like, I don't know, some stuff will happen.
So what is that? Yeah, what is that? That's so good. So where were you having that dream? You're from all over. Tell me where that dream started and how this life thing is happening.
I mean, I think anybody, like I also went to school for acting like Stacey did, and in school you're taught like, do your work, do your artistry, which was lovely. And I love, like, Stacey was up here being so artistic and so lovely, and I was like, I feel like I'm not that artistic. I feel like I'm just like playing, like having a good time. Yeah. And I feel like we all visioned, like I was like, out of the people in my acting school, most of them wanted to do theater. It was a theater program, so of course, all in the Midwest. And they were like, I'm going to move to Chicago and do theater. I'm going to New York to do theater. And I was like, I'm going to LA and I'm going to do film and television. I don't know why. Yeah. It felt to me like the practical choice, which is hilarious. Yeah, right. I was like, out of these ridiculous things, the most practical one is this one. And so I was like, I'm going to go to LA. And a couple people were like, yeah, I'm going to go to LA. And I was like, no, but I'm really going to go to LA. I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. And I pictured me getting here. And there's a 5-year plan. I think it's in a blog post on One Broke Actress. I would highly recommend it as a read. Yeah. I had a plan that I was like, I will come here, and I know for a fact, 0 doubt in my brain, which really lends itself to privilege of a middle-class white girl, which is a different topic. But I was like, things will work out for me. Yeah. I will get there, and they'll be like, this town has never seen someone like Sam. Like, where have you been?
I've been waiting for you.
I was in Missouri State, but now I'm here, and you're welcome. And I was like, well, this is going to be great. And then I was like, I'm just going to go. So I envisioned me coming here and it being like, here's my skill. Here's the things you didn't know you needed. Here I am. You're welcome.
Yes.
Which is it's so funny because like, there's a lot of me's in different capacities in this world.
Right,
so
right,
like,
yeah.
I thought I was going to solve a problem that I didn't solve. So I thought I'd come here and I thought I'd be quote unquote discovered in some capacity and have a meeting, and that would lead to this and that would lead to that, and like this job would lead to that job, and then I would do a soap opera probably for a while, and then maybe during like hiatus I would consider doing commercials.
Yes.
And then like maybe like a TV thing here and there, and maybe series regular, but I would do film very seriously. Like I was like, I'm going to be a movie star.
Right.
And I have all the conviction in the world. Thank God, because it got me here.
Yeah.
I appreciate that the Sam that was in college, because she got me to where I am now. And I think we all have that person, that version of ourselves that like could not be stopped. Was like, that great. Thank God that there was no fear in that woman and that she did what she did. And she got me to here. But then this was a big reality smack. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be famous by the time I'm 25?
Right.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
How long can you be a waiter? What's the timeline of this? And then it just, there's points where it crumbled and points where it got put back together. And
So
it's
this
hard.
Sam you said that had no fear and came out here.
Yeah.
Was there a point at where there was a no fear Sam and then there was a fearful Sam?
For sure. I think there's always a voice in the back of your head being like, I don't know. I don't know about this. I'm really good at picking which voice I want to listen to.
Yeah.
Which is
That's,
something interesting.
you mean it's interesting to have multiple, or
Yeah.
you're good at?
Should we be concerned?
But this
I don't know.
is so good because so much of what I know is in me are these voices, and there's the voice that's go do it. There's the voice that you can't do it. I mean, you speak so much about, what I'm saying about your transparency is that when you speak, so many people go, yeah, me too.
Yeah, yeah. And well, that was the thing when I started One Broke Actress, right? Is that I started to notice that when actors got in a room, and when our acting teacher stepped away, or when like the director, the casting director went away, and when the stakes were lowered to where it wasn't about showing ourselves to anyone, proving anything, and you just dimmed the lights a little bit, everyone would be like, so like, are you working?
Right.
Are you guys going out? Because I'm not really going. Like, what's the? Then we'd lean in, and not these words would be like, hey, what's the secret? What is it that I'm missing that they might have, or what do you have that I don't have? Like, can we discuss it? And I started to notice those patterns, and I was like, huh, what if someone just said this? What if we started saying it out loud?
Yeah.
And I started saying it out loud, and people were like, oh, oof, good luck.
What do you think that's about? Why do actors feel the need to show themselves?
Well, we're really taught, I feel, that you have to present this idea of success. And I don't think that's true for just acting, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
owning an acting studio, you probably feel the need to show that it's successful, right? It's clout, right? What's going on, man?
You're literally asking the wrong person about that. But I absolutely know what you mean, because it is.
Yeah.
We all, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. There's this kind of like success thing.
Yeah, and it's why businesses use testimonials. It's why because we need to show this thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like, we see it more and more now, and I'm not the person who ushered this in, but like when companies are really honest, we're like, oh, that's interesting also.
Yeah, like Domino's going, we're redoing our pizza. Is anybody with me on that one? No. Remember they did that? They were like, our pizza sucked. Here, we made it better.
Oh, see, into
It's
that.
like a whole campaign.
Love that as an ad campaign.
Yeah, it's a great ad campaign.
Love it.
Turns out it wasn't much better, but
Interesting.
but you really I mean, it's so profound what you're saying, because you were listening in this moment, it seems like, metaphorically or literally, when the lights were dimmed. I love how you said that. The actors, people are going, oh my gosh, is this really what's going on? Or is there a secret? Am I being lied to? Am I missing something?
Yeah, and what I noticed too was that happened no matter how many credits they had.
Yeah.
No matter who, and I started to, the gift of being here longer is you meet people who are at different levels than you and you befriend them. Because when I first moved here, I was like, how am I ever gonna have friends who are like not also just struggling?
Yeah.
Why is this so hard? And then you stick around long enough, and then your friends are directors or showrunners or like Emmy winners and things like that. and then they're saying the same shit that you say.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is it. We're all saying this. We're just worried at different levels. I'm worried because I might not make my $500 a month studio rent for this guest house, which was a shed in a backyard, but that's another story. And
sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's good. But then they're worried that they might not make their $5,000 a month mortgage for their house in the hills.
Right.
And so it's like, if we're all doing the same stuff, then me talking about it can't be scary because everyone feels it. They're just feeling it on a different level.
And when you say, when you started doing this, and it was like people were really resonating with this and saying, oh my gosh, you're speaking what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
How did that feel to you? What was that like to feel so connected to people? What was that moment like when you realized that this is resonating?
Amazing. That changed my whole life.
What do you mean? Tell me, that's great.
I feel like it started small, like someone would share my like blog on Facebook or something, and I was like, oh, I did that. That's mine. That's cool. Because also, you know, people tell at that 2016 period was when everyone was like, just make a web series if you're not getting seen. I was like, oh, cool, I'll casually make a web series. Like, it was like
Get a whole
only
crew,
like,
write a script, do
like
the whole
6
thing.
episodes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I was like, I don't want to write a web series, but I feel like this is my web series. Like, this is what I can contribute. This is what I have. And so when people were like, yeah, this, yeah, that, and like now when people like, even when someone just like hearts something or they write like, this changed my day or something like that, I'm like, oh, I matter. This matters. And I think as people who are artists and actors and however you identify, no matter, I mean, if you're a lawyer, if you're like checking out people at Trader Joe's, you want to go to bed at night thinking that you matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do. And, you know, I started to like not be as scared to get on planes, which sounds silly, but like I have a flying thing. And I wasn't as scared to get on a plane because I was like, well, this is so fucking morbid. Buckle up. I was like, if I die, at least I will have left some sort of legacy. Yeah. Like the news will have something about me that's like known for her helping actors or something. Yeah. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that matters. So like things got a little bit easier because the stress of like being that mattered. And I will tell you too, it got a lot easier when I got more people on board.
On board with what you were saying?
Yeah.
Or,
of understanding what I was doing.
Right.
Because initially, this was so much harder when I was like talking to a void. When I had like 500 followers and I was like, I'm scared today. And my mom was like, love you, honey. And I was like, this was not for you.
But thank you.
Yeah, but thank you. Yeah. So it was harder to be like, so like when people start projects, I know it's so easy to look at people who have like gotten further along with the same project and be like, oh, I could never do that. I wasn't doing that. I was speaking into a void and like there was literally like 500 followers for so long. Yeah. And like half of them were my family and friends. And to get to a point where people were like, yes, this. I was like, oh, I can keep going because I found my people. I found my community. And I don't care for like buying followers or like having a big number because the more people you have, the more I feel like you sometimes start to attract the wrong people. Have you ever had a video go viral? Have you ever had one go viral?
Yeah.
And then people say weird shit. I'm like,
really
this
gross.
video is not for you, man in Iowa.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets weird. So I like that my stuff's it's popular to a niche group because I'm like, this is cool. They get it.
Yeah, that viral thing is very interesting, isn't it? It really brings in the flies.
Yeah, it's brutal, right?
Yeah.
Have you had weird comments on your videos?
Yes, and the first time I had something really weird was a blog about free listening. And it's a blog called How to Listen When You Disagree. And I wrote it in 2016 when people were writing blogs. And
also, 2016, absolutely no one was disagreeing
no one
about
disagreed
anything
then. Well,
at that time.
The blog began because I went free listening at the Republican National Convention and was holding a sign. So I wrote about this. And anyway, the comments, yeah. And all on Instagram too, of course. Yeah, it seems as the wider the net is cast, the more crabs you catch, I guess.
Yes.
Something. It's like,
accurate
bless
statement.
their heart. In the South, we say bless their hearts. That's what we say in the South.
Yeah.
You are such a huge help to actors. And one of the things that I just, oh my gosh, I just admire so much about you, it seems endless. You are an endless well of support. And we need that so badly. All of us do. And where does this come from? Where does this drive for that level of generosity? Where does this drive to serve and help actors come from in you? What is that about?
It's a great question. I don't know. I think being raised in like a Midwest family, I think we were taught that to lean to kindness. Like even when I'm having the worst day, if someone like I've left the house before and I'm like, oh, it's just everything's wrong and bad. And then someone will walk by me and be like, hey, I'll be like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
And then I'll snap back and be like, oh, I guess everything's not so bad. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
Like I lean towards kindness, and I like to think it's something I do naturally. If you've ever cut me off in traffic, you would disagree. But I think that's the just kind of my general placement.
Yeah.
And I have not had, and my therapist might disagree, but a ton of trauma. And so in having that, I grew up in a lot of privilege. And I mention this specifically because I think it's very easy to see people on any sort of platform, right? Whether it's this stage tonight, whether it's someone with a lot of followers, whatever it is, and be like, oh, they're doing better than me. But I think it's so important to asterisk like the privilege that person had along the way.
Sure. Yeah.
So I grew up with a lot of privilege. I grew up feeling safe constantly. And not everyone has that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in this room didn't have that. And that set a baseline for me where I didn't not being scared all of the time for my general well-being, for my acceptance, for things like that, gave me a different support underneath me as I functioned in life. So it's easier for me to be nice to people because on the whole, people are typically nice to me.
Yeah.
And that has to come from some level of privilege.
Yeah.
So beyond that, which is a huge piece, I think I really want to be what I needed when I got into this business. Because I had a couple people, there's an actress named Ashley Platts, for example. I met her at work one day. She's phenomenal. And she was like, where do you live? I was like, outside of Lincoln Heights. She was like, nope. She was like, give me a pen and paper. She made a list of places I was allowed to live. She was like, these are safe. She was like, you're a single girl living by yourself. Right. You're from the Midwest. Because I was like, I've never paid for parking before. She was like, no, you can't. You need help. And so, like, she's like little tasks like that. And I was like, oh, this is so great.
Yeah.
LA's great. People are great. And then I met some people who are not so great. Yeah. I was like, oh, LA's not so great. So I was like, can I populate more of the goodness? Can I share more of the good stuff? Can I be the person that I needed? Can I be? I never had a big sister, but I wish that I would have so often because I want someone to be like, hey, you're okay. You're okay. We can do this and support, but from an understanding perspective, right? Because it's really easy to see your friend who's an actor and be like, you're going to do it. You're going to be great. But when you don't understand the intricacies of the day-to-day life, it's like, it's different when someone's coming from the same ball game that you're playing in.
For sure.
And I want to be that. I want an actor to come up to me and like be like, hey, I don't know if it's okay for me to work a full-time job and do this. And I want to be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Build your financial freedom. Do the things I wish that people would have told me to do.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff. I want to be that.
So we were talking about that earlier, the importance of that financial stability. Talk a little bit about that, because I find I've had actors, oh my gosh, who've come and want to work with me and they live in their cars. And obviously I said, no, you cannot work with me. This is not romantic at all.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the importance of financial stability, what that means to you, and you know, that'll be a relative term for everybody, of course, to some degree. But you know, there's this life of an artist that's like, well, I don't need it. I'll be paychecked, whatever it is. What does it mean to you, and how does it help you become better at what you do?
I mean, the reason I'm sitting here is because I built some financial freedom. Yeah. I couldn't be here doing this talk and like I couldn't afford to post on Instagram every day if it wasn't my part of my job. What you said about actors living in their cars, there's like this beautiful idea of like the starving artist, and then like they'll have $11 in their bank account and then they'll book that gig, and it's like, maybe, but could we hedge our bets in like a slightly less stressful direction? Ooh. I had, like I said, before the pandemic I had 5 jobs. I've always worked multiple jobs in Los Angeles because I'm so scared of being broke. Ironic, isn't it? I'm so scared of being broke. So I was like, well, if I can just have like money coming in, I can stay here. I can do this a little bit longer. I can figure this out. So then I would jump from part-time job to part-time job. I also think there's something about changing jobs that is kind of like having a new role. You guys get with me on this? Like it's like, oh well, like I'm like what am I like as like a chef? What am I like as like a chef? Oh, interesting. I'm gonna try that hat on for. What's my schedule like? What's my day? How do I function in life when I'm like a chef?
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I love
it was
that.
fun,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I spent a lot of time jumping from job to job because I didn't have any of that in my acting. So like I'm just gonna try on hats in like my job life. So I've worked like every job, like I've done them all, and it's fun, and I'm glad I did because I have experience and I have an understanding of so many people's lives from a deep perspective, and I just feel for so many people in their work schedules. But I spend a lot of time too letting that distract me.
The pursuit of different jobs.
The pursuit of different jobs and the pursuit of just having money in my bank account. And so I started to value that above a lot of other things, but not in a way that benefited me. It was like a chase for like the next $25 an hour gig.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, what would it look like if you just spent some time getting really good at something that could make you more money later? And that's something I talk to actors about a lot right now is like, if there's something that you're interested in that's like, I really want to be a personal trainer, for example. But the focus it would take to get good at that job and have steady clients would take like a year or two off my acting. But like, I don't know, but like I can't even book a co-star. I'm like, let's go. Let's get this personal training shit on lock. Let's get the thing that is so hard for people to maintain. Let's get that on lock. Like, let's focus in and make that steady. Because then we were just talking with Sarah about like coming back into the acting game after like focusing on steady work and coming back in and being like, oh, I'm such a better candidate for jobs. I'm a better candidate for talking to agents, for casting directors, because I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna know my shit. I'm gonna be able to afford to coach this. And it's not gonna be the job I need to get to stay in this business. I can do my work here and walk away, like Stacey was talking about, because I don't have to get this job.
And I'm not in survival mode, trying to figure out how am I gonna, pay the
and
bills.
survival mode is this like manic feeling inside all of us. And like, I'm not saying I don't get that sometimes now, because I absolutely still do. I'm still afraid like the rug could be pulled out from under me at any moment. I'm like, well, I guess I could go be a social media manager for someone or something. Like, I'll find it. But that feeling of, there's so many obstacles in this job, so many obstacles, so many gatekeepers, so many things, that if we can take one and get it out of the way, it doesn't mean you're not gonna work. It just means that you might be your focus for a period of time. I'm all for it, personally. Like, it's changed my life to not think about money every single day.
What a great thing, but you seem to be talking about the level of patience it takes even to build a solid financial foundation. And like, we're just not good at patience. Like, can we get it now? Can we get it now?
No.
But to take a year off of acting and put some focus into something that you could build a higher thing on, it's really, really wise. I love that.
Yeah, but and also, like, it doesn't have to be a year off. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like, you
of
can
course.
still be like, I think that's how we see it. And we see it too, we have this weird thing that like, if we show people in the world that we're not, like, if we post a picture on Instagram and it's because we like started a business, they're gonna be like, oh, you're not acting anymore. And it's like, no, I am still, I'm just putting energy into this particular bucket. And then we get this weird vibe, like, what are people gonna think? What's gonna happen? And like, what, am I ever gonna get taken seriously anymore? And it's like, if we could just like, let that shit roll and be like, watch me. Fucking watch me. Let's see what happens. That to me is like the best feeling.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because being an actor is doing that, and that energy in all of those ways. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so you brought up personal trainer a second ago, which made me think of your husband. I don't know why. And tell me about the convergence of this side of your life and this side of your life. What has happened now? Has something new been created? What does it mean to be in this? It seems like a different part of your life now, and things are in a different way. You've spoken about it on your podcast. Has that made you a better actor? Has it made you a better business person? Are you seeing yourself differently? What does it mean to be in this experience you're in right now in your life?
There is some pressure on my acting career that also wasn't there before. I do feel the need to, which is funny. I was like, fuck them, don't worry about what people think. And I'm like, what is everyone thinking about my acting career? There feels like there is some pressure that like I should be booking because
of One Broke Actress.
Because of One Broke Actress, but because I'm covering all of the bases I talk about all the time, right? So I'm talking about having financial freedom. I'm in a place where like more or less that is existent. Having a steady home life, being in networking, actively training, all of these things that I like love to talk about, I'm doing them, and I'm doing them a lot. And so it's like, I feel like someone's like, where's your work? Where's the checked box? If that works, let's fucking see it. So I struggle with that. Because I'm like, I'm like the long game. Yeah. The long game. And also, you learn so much when you're not necessarily working all the time, which is like something I literally just created a course on what to do when you're not working. Because I just didn't work for a year. I just wasn't on a set for literally 366 days. Yeah. And that's a long time.
What'd you learn about yourself?
Well, you have to take the course, Ben.
Very good, very good, very good.
No, I'm learning that the long game of it all is so much more important than the ego check. But the ego check is sometimes feels more important. And we don't realize
the
it's
ego boost
and
getting the job or whatever. Yeah.
Because we want to share that we got a job. We want to be like, look at me, I did this thing. Hey, all this work that you kind of see me doing, look, it equals something. Like we want to like validate the thing, or like I say that like behind every actor, there's like 2 to 3 people we really want to prove wrong, and then like another 150 people we really want to prove right. Yeah. And we want to like be like, yeah, agent, you picked me good. You did a good job. I am good. Or like, yeah, casting, you did a good job calling me in more than once. I promise them. And I'm learning that that's my ego. And like, if I'm still here and I'm still working, that has to be enough. Yeah. Because beyond that, there's only so much I can control. Yeah. And that has to be enough. But the hard part, and the question you're about like the two worlds is merging that part of with me, but also continuing to talk about acting online every single day, even when I feel like I'm not doing as much of it as I should be. Yeah. Whatever should be is. Yeah. So that's one aspect that like I'm juggling and I'm figuring it out as I go. Yeah. Having a personal life is also interesting, in that, well, my husband is like, he gets it now, which is fun.
But he wasn't in the industry at all.
He came to LA to be an actor. Okay. He went to school for acting, which is funny because now he got here and he was like, oh, I actually just like telling stories. So now he's a writer. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he's really good. If anybody wants to read his scripts, let me know. He's really, really talented. It's which, you know, anybody who's dated someone who's a writer, after our like second date, he was like, you should read one of my scripts. And I was like, let it be good, please, let it be good. I really like this one. Yes. So that's like a whole bag of worms, but having, he gets it. And he like, sometimes he'll like just open his phone and like set Instagram stories to play. And he's like, I want to get your views up so you could like get more sponsors.
Oh, that's so good.
I know, isn't it cute? It's the little things. Yeah. So that, you know, that's a thing. And he doesn't, he'll let me put him on a video sometimes, so it's like, it's not about like him necessarily, but he gets that it's part of my world. So like, it used to be weird when I would pick up my phone in the middle of the living room and be like, oh, hi guys. So I just wanted to talk about real quick, like I used to get super self-conscious. And now I'll be like, can we shut up for a second? Hey guys, I just wanted to really quick talk about like we've normalized it in our house. But there is a push-pull of time that I'm figuring out of the requirement of my time to continue the things I'm doing. Okay. Which I struggle with.
Tell me more about that. Push-pull of time to continue to do like the One Broke Actor stuff or the career stuff versus the families, the life stuff?
All of the above.
All the above.
Yeah, all of those things. Because I own a company called Fast Forward, that's a podcast production company.
I love the intro, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you do it?
Fast Forward Productions, the women are speaking. Thank you.
So good.
The friend I opened the business with was like, should we get someone to do it? And I was like, bitch, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
No.
For sure, yeah.
It's me. So that, and I love that job. And it's getting to a point where there might be a time in which I get to hire more people and I get to like like kind of let it live, and it's a piece of my side business right now. It takes a lot of energy still. Then there's the One Broke Actress world, which is all the fucking socials. Can we not be real? I need less.
My God,
I'm not doing that one. I can't do it.
Like, I can't. It's killing me.
I have not been wearing makeup on Instagram stories for like 5 years. Like that is real. Like it's like I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But there's the TikTok and the YouTube and the Instagram and the email list and my blog and the podcast, and it's like
At least Facebook's not a thing.
it's
anymore.
it's true.
That's
It's
nice.
true. It's true. Basically, every once in a while they email me and they're like, "Do you want to see your Facebook page?" I'm like, "Certainly do not." Don't even know what picture's on there. But that is. That is such a chunk of time. And I have a virtual assistant. She's amazing. And she's so helpful on so many things. But it's me still. Like, I'm posting to Instagram. I'm doing all of the things still. So there's a world in which I got to figure out what of that is giving to me and what is taking away. Because I get probably 100 DMs a day. And then probably another 30 to 40 emails. And it's
From this One Broke Actress
from One Broke
stuff,
Actress,
yeah.
and that's in conjunction with like my acting career and my all of the other things that are going on, and then my personal life and like I like working out and like taking care of myself and all of these other things. And I have 3 dogs who like demand a lot.
Yes.
So that is it's all these different baskets, and I only have if the baskets are here and I'm like a bundle of energy, like I can only put energy into certain baskets. And I think it's what we were talking about earlier. Somebody asked a question about like taking care of yourself in your personal life with your acting life.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think that, this is controversial.
That's perfect.
Ready? The internet loves this.
Yeah.
I do not think that balance is actually possible. I think the idea of balance is that like you're equally giving of your energy to all of the things. And I don't foresee that working because none of us would be on when we have a job, we're working on set, right? It's getting all of our focus. We're not also really good to our friends, right? We're not gonna remember. We might not remember the birthdays. We might not like be there for the nights out and all that stuff because we have this energy that has to go into this basket for this period of time. When that basket's full up and like that project's done or like those auditions are done, whatever, I'm like, great, let me answer all my text messages, let me go see my girlfriends, let me make some phone calls, and then that basket gets my energy. And then it's like, oh, you need to take care of this thing and this thing. So I can only put stuff so many places. And I think that's true for all of us, right? And this career asks a lot of our energies in like weird times. Like, right? Like it's like, it's like a Friday and you're like checking out and it's like 17 page audition due on Tuesday and you're like, oh cool, this was gonna be my social time, but now it's gonna be my work time. And now I don't have work social time, so I have to find it somewhere else. And like, it can make you feel crazy. And everyone else is like, just find balance. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I can't do it. So I've accepted the fact, and I talk about this sometimes, that like I don't think balance is possible.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible for me to be the best version of a wife to my husband when I'm also running to set and then also trying to get a workout in and also answering DMs from One Broke Actress. And so when I do have the opportunities to communicate about this, I over communicate. I'm to a T. I'll text my husband and I'll say, hi, I will not be kind to you this week because I am going to be very focused on me.
Right.
For the next 3 days, I have to go to set and I have to do a lot of projects. So just so you know, if I'm short, it's all about me. It has nothing to do with you. I love you so much. Thank you in advance.
Yes.
And he will literally be like, cool.
Yes.
Thanks.
That is kind. It is very kind.
Yeah,
yes.
he gets it. And it saves us so much time in then if his feelings, if I said something, if I was like, yeah, I'll talk to you later, bye. And he was like, you didn't say I love you. Like, I'd be like, I don't have time for that. Like, that affects my career. Now I have to feel bad about something I didn't have time for or whatever. Like, I don't love that.
Yeah.
So I over communicate upfront. And same with One Broke Actress. Like, people send me emails and I'm like, hey, I can't get to this right now.
Yeah.
But I started an email responder. I'm like, drop your questions here. I'll try to make content about it later.
Yeah.
But then I still get emails from people that are like, I sent you an email and you never responded. And I'm like, oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to feel, there's so many people in your life who will ignore you. There's so many people who are like, oh, just another actor. And I don't want to be that person. So like it's hard to nail all of it at one time. So I just don't think it's possible. I think I'm gonna miss a lot.
You have all of these different things. I love what you're saying about balance. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I would speak in terms of alignment instead of balance. I can find that, but balance is... So you have all these different things. What would you say connects them all for you? What is there a thread that goes between all of them for you, or are they all compartmentalized separately?
Interesting. I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't know. I think my brain works in weird ways. Like I will be like, I'm gonna forget this for sure. I'm gonna forget this, and then 2 days later I'll be like, you wanted to put cucumbers in the gazpacho next time, and I'll be like, oh, that was important. So our brain is does weird shit to us that like kind of connects things that aren't connected.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a piece of me that goes into all of those things. I think wanting to do everything to the best of my abilities is probably a big connection piece. Like I want to be very present for my husband because I see people in Hollywood all of the time lose themselves in this business, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like he's one of my victories that I count when I'm like, well, I didn't get successful early. I wanted so much more from this. Yeah, but I got a sick home life. Like it's rad. Like I love my home. I love my husband. I love my family, my dog. Like my people in my life are amazing. And if I would have been successful at 25, I might not have had that.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
And like if I was successful at 25, I wouldn't be sitting here. Probably not.
Right.
I would be.
I wouldn't have been able to contact you at all. I have like 3 virtual assistants to get you.
Maybe, or I would have burned the shit out of myself.
Or you
right?
could
like
have,
I would have
you could be
totally burned out.
Yeah,
I think I would have done a lot of drugs. I really
Yeah. It's not too late. It's not too late. Can I tell you something a friend of mine said who's a psychiatrist?
Please.
She looks at me, and we were at this conference. Anyway, I shouldn't even tell you what the conference. We were at this conference, and she says, "There are no bad drugs." She said, "There's just drugs you use badly." And I was like, "Don't tell me that." Okay, anyway.
Tell him Ben sent you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm down for it. It's a whole new acting technique. Anyway, kidding. I'm joking. Completely joking. Just anyway. So yes, this is so wonderful. This perspective you have because it's easy for us to go, oh, if only.
And I do that too.
Well, we all do, but there seems to be something, another voice in you that's saying not just if only, but look at what's happening now, and that had this happened then, this may not have happened now, and we can't live in these alternative universes, I guess, but we can at least acknowledge that the one that's playing out right now would not be playing out had something else gone in a certain way.
Totally.
What a beautiful way to be grateful for what you have today, without negating what you didn't get or what you had hoped you would get.
Yeah, and I tell actors this sometimes. I'm like, whatever this vision of this what you thought this would be, or what you wanted this to be, or the success you wanted to have earlier on that you don't have. I'm like, this is in the course. So I'll give you a little sneak peek. Have a fucking funeral for the life you wanted to have. Have a full-on funeral. Write out all the things I wanted to be on the cover of these magazines. I wanted to be famous. I wanted this and that. I wanted a writer for my dressing room. I wanted to be a Mariah Carey and have puppies in it. Whatever it is, whatever you wanted, right? I would say write all that shit out, and not in a way of like a manifest list, like I will have this one day. Like all the shit you thought you would have by some certain age that is like so unimportant to the real life that we live, and like have a funeral, light some incense, light a candle, burn that shit, flush it down the toilet, whatever you have to do, because it is holding you back. Because that feeling of like, I should have done this, I should have done this, like, but you didn't, and you're here, so like, let's figure it out. Let's find a way to make this cool. I started saying like, I no longer make mistakes, I make better blog posts. So like, whatever, right? Like if I do something stupid, like if I just signed with some new managers, they're cool. A year down the line, if it doesn't work out, all right, well, let's write about how that went, what went wrong, what went right. Let's take some lessons from it. Let's move the fuck on. Like, we have to let that shit go, because it can build up, and like that's when you start to like question everything, and then everything's a big deal. And then how are you gonna, audition for a Coke commercial if your entire life is on the fucking line?
Yes. Oh God.
Right? It's so stressful.
Yes. So we're at the question time. Are there any questions?
Oh, great.
Any questions?
Yes.
Hi, Jill.
Hi, Jill.
I just want to say right back to me when I emailed you.
Oh, great! Oh, thank God. Huh.
Yeah, good job. I know you said there's like no balance, but what in your maybe imagination, I don't know, what is like your best actor day if you had to describe what would be like your best day?
So this is a great question. Like that's happened or like how I see it in the future?
Like your ideal best day you're manifesting now.
I love this. I totally wrote this out. I'm so excited to get to say it out loud. So like, how detailed do you want this to be? What's your timeline?
Like wake up, what do you do?
Yeah, it's a waking up in like a house that has like those automatic blinds. So they like go up when the sun comes up, and I gotta take the foster dogs we're taking care of for the rescue outside to the yard. I want to like help with a dog rescue. I want to have like a pack. I have 3, so we're on our way.
That's good. Moving right along.
And moving right along, and let them out, and then like go grab a coffee, and like my husband gets up, and like we have coffee together and talk about our day, and like he has to go to this set to like finish like writing on something. And I'm like, yeah, I got the trainers coming over for this like, I have a trainer who's gonna come and like, who's getting me ready for this movie that I'm doing because it's a lot of physicality, and I'm so interested in using my full body for a role, and we're training because we have a gym in the garage. And we're training and we finish early and I grab breakfast and then I'm like, all right, get ready and go to set. And I get to like have my coach in my trailer. And we get to work on the scene and the sides. And I know the makeup artist and like I know my hair person and we have some inside jokes. And we have like, places we banter about. And, like they're like, oh my God, this new song came out. I'm like, oh yeah, let's play what we were talking about yesterday. Like there's like, it's like a home on set. And then like I get in and then we like get in the golf cart and we go like work and film the scene, and then we break for lunch and we're in the golf cart on the way back, and like there's some actors lined up outside of an audition room and they're about to go in for this big audition and they're like running their lines, like talking to the fucking walls like we all do. And I'm like, wait, let's stop the golf cart, and I pull over and I'm like, do you want me to run those lines with you? And they're like, oh my God, one broke actress. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, let's do the line. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, let's run your lines. They do it. I'm like, you're great. Can I put you on my Instagram? And then I like share their shit. And like someone is helping me run One Broke Actress. So we like make them like an actor focus of the day. And then like go to the trailer and like have lunch and like get all the stuff and like do an interview that's like also coming out in the next couple of days for the project that was previous. And then you go back to work. And then I wrap the day looking at my stuff for the next day. And I go home with my husband. And I do exactly what I do right now, which is I take a shower and I take off all the makeup and I put my hair up and I get on the couch and we turn off our phone. We turn on some FX show and I'm in a cozy t-shirt and the dogs are there and we're just watching a show and chilling. And you know what's fucking rad about that is a lot of that is already happening.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That's so good. That's so good.
Oh, you guys have to do, if you haven't done that, like you really need to write it out in detail. Like I can tell you what my kitchen looks like. Thank you for letting me say that out loud. That was amazing.
Now there's a word you've used a bunch in our time together, and that's this word home. You've said it several times. What does it mean to you?
Great question, because I don't really have like a home.
Yeah.
We moved every couple of years growing up, which you and I talked about for a minute. And so a place was never home for me because we would live there for a couple of years and we'd get up and move. So like when people are like, oh yeah, when I go home, and I'm like, interesting, is my home the longest place I lived? Is it where my parents are?
Yeah.
Is it where my friends are? Is it where I went to college? Like those are all different places. And so I don't have a physical home. To me, home is like a feeling. And I can feel that it's a gift of the burden that I had to take as a kid, was moving around a lot, was that I can find home in a lot of places.
Right.
And I find home, like I miss doing plays for that reason, because that group of people, you'd see each other every day for a couple of weeks, and like there was like a banter built up, and like that to me, that's home, because it's like the space, and you like there's a place you always park, and there's a place you always get a drink, and then like there's a toilet that doesn't work, and then you know which one it is, and like that's a home, and you can make that anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is. Like I can make it. I feel at home on the internet a lot of times now, which is wild. I feel at home. Like I feel since I got here, I felt very comfy, and like I feel very like I feel at home here. Like when I hugged Stacey, I was like, you feel like home. Like I think it's a vibe more than like a place or a thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Any other questions? Yes.
So my question is regarding kind of like your dreams outside of acting.
Yeah.
how do you deal with the fear or anxiety that you won't reach those dreams because you're too busy pursuing acting? And what I mean by that is like family goals or financial goals or travel. I feel like we get so caught up and worried and distracted by acting that there's this fear of like, well, what if I also want to be a mom, or what if I also want to travel the world, but I don't have the money or the time because I also want to be an actor. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good question. I am at this moment in my life, I'm not interested in having children, but I do feel like there's a lot of things about having a comfortable like home life that I think is the same, right, for anyone. They want to keep their people steady and they want to take care of each other and like feel loved and stuff like that. And same with like travel, like we want to do a lot of things and I want to experience like all the things. It's funny that you like separate it from acting, because in my mind, acting actually gives me a lot of those situations. There's a reason, like I've traveled to Europe multiple times for acting, which I did not expect. I feel like I've been put in like some wild situations, like in fun ways, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like this is a gift because of acting. I do think we tend to put acting on this pedestal of like, well, if I can get to this certain point, then I'll have the stability to like leave. But guys, I'm watching people like that rocket ship Stacey was talking about. I'm watching people on that trajectory, and like they do not have time to do some stuff they wanted to do, and they're like, oh, I wish I would have like traveled more before I booked this job, or I wish I would have done that. And they make plans for like when that job's over, but then when that job's over, their agent's like, yo, we gotta like move on this momentum, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. So like I'm all about like the pivot, like finding a way to make things happen. So it's like if your dream is to like go to Greece and stay in this one hotel, like what's the pivot? Like can you find a way to like find a last minute flight and like stay in an Airbnb that's not that hotel, but then you can go have dinner at that hotel or something like that? Like is there like a pivot, like a way that you can maneuver it and just figure it out to like do the thing? And the having kids piece, even though it's not for me, I think there's a lot of female identifying people who feel like that's the burden or that's the thing we've put on them that like that will end their career. And if you talk to a lot of actresses who have kids, they're actually better because they have kids. You know what I mean? Like they feel so much deeper, and and I'm kind of jealous because it's not something I don't think I'm going to experience that. But they have these emotions and these wells, and like they find these things, and their drive to get shit is like 6 times what it was. Like they're fierce. And I watch my friends do it, and they're like, and they also don't care about the bullshit anymore. They're like, yeah, whatever. Like we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And they're like, I'm covered in vomit. Like life, there's like so much bigger things to worry about. And I think that is so interesting to be around too. And I think that is really powerful. So like, find yourself a mama to hang out with, like, because it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. I've seen that with my friends who've had children. It's like, I don't have children, but I have lots of friends who do and work with lots of actors who do. And there's something about being a mother, and I've seen it in fathers too, about being a parent that teaches you more about acting than a master's degree or a BFA could ever teach you, or play, and yes, the vomit, I guess.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah. It's like there is the well. That's so good. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
There's also something about, and this kind of goes back to your question a little bit, but like there's something about like, we fill the space that we have with what we have to do. And like when you have more shit going on, you tend to just find a way. Like we find a way to get things done, and like we find a way. And I look around now and like having like 3 dogs is nowhere near a comparison to having kids. Like I guarantee you that. But like these dogs are like a lot of work, and like taking care of them in day-to-day life. I'm like, what did I do when I just had 1 dog? I don't even remember. I must have had so much free time. But even then I felt like I was busy. Yeah. So it's like you find a way to do shit in whatever capacity you have to do it. Yeah, and then you kind of drop some of the bullshit that wasn't important before.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, Colleen.
Also not a question. I mentioned I'm not good.
Are you?
Yes.
Is this the compliment queen? I was hoping you would raise your hand.
It is. When I first came across...
Is that a Target tank?
Is it? Yes, it is. I have more than one color, too.
Yes.
When I first came across your podcast, I feel like I absolutely was drawn to it initially because where I was at as an actor was like, I need the tips and tricks. I need to know, like...
The tangibles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just get in there. what I love about how you approach the conversations that you have is it makes me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, it makes me feel like I'm not alone in the experience, but I also feel like, especially because of the medium, you're hosting an actual podcast, but then also because you're talking about life and not just the business of acting, I feel like it creates a real opportunity to practice listening, which we talk a lot about in our class too, and as a result just continually makes a better actor. Like I feel growth as an actor just being better at listening to others, and in turn being able to listen to myself internally even more. So I wanted to offer you gratitude as well.
Thank you.
For that, for choosing to do that, because it has given so much to the rest of us, so thank you.
Thank you so much. I think if anyone wants to get better at listening, you should host a podcast because there's nothing else to do, especially if you take away the video. Like all you can do is listen and like let someone talk, and like, so thank you. I really appreciate that.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So as a husband to an actor, I'm actually not an actor myself. What are some ways that your husband supports you or just helps you along the process?
Can we just say that him asking that question?
Wow.
Is he yours?
Is he yours?
10.
Is it yours? Yeah, because everybody.
10 out of 10.
Yes.
10 out of 10. You just being interested in that, by the way, is huge. Because there is, what do you do for a living?
Wealth management.
Okay, so there's like a structure, right? More or less. And like things can still go wrong and go right, and like there's changes and stuff. But like there's a relative structure to like how your day is gonna go. You can kind of guess how your week's gonna go. Like it's like kind of similar. So like that is just like never, ever, ever gonna happen for your wife. Like her life will always be some level of fucking chaos. And if you can accept that and learn to love that instead of like hate it, that's huge. My husband is like, he literally has a saying, he looks at me and he's like, what'd you break today? Like, because I'm just like, I'm a maniac. Like I'm elbows and knees and like feet. And like, because he's made it fun for me, like we make it light, it is so much easier for me to function in my chaos. And he has a lovely sense of humor about it all. He takes it seriously enough. I'm lucky that he's a writer, so like he films self-tape with me, and he's like, I feel like there's a moment here that you're missing. And I'm like, amazing, like that is so useful. But beyond that, for him to understand and get interested in my day-to-day life is really nice. And tangentially, you also need to be interested in his, so that's important. To have that time where we like clock in, and I'm like, hey, this is what today went, and here is why this is important. And now he asks questions like, was that the same casting director as last time? Or like, and he's curious, and he gets curious, and then it's informed his, how we watch TV and discuss it. Like we'll watch TV, and like, before we had commercials on Hulu, we upgraded, so kind of a big deal. When we had commercials on Hulu, we'd get to a commercial and he'd be like, man, that scene was so good. And I'm like, yeah, why do you think it was so good? And he's like, I don't know the actor. And like so we make it into a conversation, and then that propels like our conversation around my career. So that like just being genuinely interested and listening, and also accepting of the fact that it is always gonna be a gentle level of chaos is so nice, because then when it happens, it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like I'm a problem. I feel like I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to do, instead of like apologizing for the crazy space I take up in our lives. And that like, oh, I got a face grab on that one, thank you. Yeah, because when you start apologizing for taking up space, then it's like, then you make yourself smaller, and you're like, I'm so sorry, I'm such a mess. Like, it's like, no, you guys, also stop fucking apologizing in your emails. I swear to God, if I get one more email, someone's like, I'm so sorry to take up your time, and I'm like, no, write to me. Like, write to me. And they're like, I know you're so busy. You're so busy. We're all so busy, like take up that space. And like, so it's the same with if your significant other is there and witnessing it, if they can understand that this is what you're signing up for, and it's gonna have moments that are so high and moments that are so low, and if you cannot judge them based on the highs or the lows, that will save you both a lot of time. Example, last night I was in such a funk, and I was like, I just really want to. Where are my auditions? Like, what am I missing? What am I doing? Just so you know, I get this way often, so it's not just. I'm like, what is missing? Like, I just don't get it. I need to have meetings with my people again. Like, and my husband was like, can we watch a spooky season? Can we watch a scary movie tonight? I was like, no, we just need to watch like a regular TV show and go to bed. And he was like, okay. And then I opened my phone and I was like, oh, I got an audition. And he goes, and he leans his head out of the kitchen, he goes, can we watch a scary movie now? And I was like, yes, we can. And I was like, but also, you have to call me out on that shit. Because I let that one email change my whole mood. And I was like, I don't want to be that person. And he was like, okay. He's like, how do I do that respectfully? And I was like, I don't know. It's a work in progress. Let's figure it out. But having that as a conversation and him realizing that, like, him finding that nuance of being like, are you upset because you're not getting auditions? How is that affecting us personally? And am I listening to him when he comes home from work? Am I caring about his clients? Am I caring about his day? It's the same. Am I accepting of what he's doing and the way he's choosing to hold himself in business? It's the same. And our communication is like at a 10 because it has to be, or else it would completely fall apart. Yeah. Great.
What is
Great
your
question.
husband's name?
His name's Caleb. His name's Caleb Ellis. Yeah.
That's a great name.
He's lovely. Yeah.
Anything you want to leave us with?
Oh, follow me at One Brick Artist. I don't know. Tell my mom I'm okay. I don't know.
Thank you so much for being here. You really, I was saying at the beginning, my bio for you, this wind in our sails moving forward, and now seeing you, it feels more like a torch in our heart, even. Like, it's so good. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, thanks for hosting this. Thanks for adding me to the lineup of legitimate people. I feel honored, and thank you guys for coming to this, because having someone laugh back at my jokes is like very,
it's very nice.
My God, it's so
very
promising.
Nice.
This is lovely, and you guys are all, thank you for being an actor, and like, just don't quit. Just don't, tomorrow just wake up and just like decide not to quit. Just for one more day.
Yes.
That's all I can ask.
Thank you, everybody.